Peace, y'all. It's the Hood Mystic, representing hoodmystic.com, with a specific message to the listener. I know that you can change the world, specifically when you change yourself. Every day, you have an opportunity to change for the better. Are you taking advantage of this opportunity, or are you trying to stay the same? Be the change that you want to see in the world by making a difference, because you and I all have a voice.
Sometimes a psychic is the perfect one to talk to when love is slipping away.
You know how people start talking funny when they're trying to hide something?
Oh, it's another girl, all right. Call now for a free reading.
Peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. This is the Hood Mystic, representing hoodmystic.com, colombianexchange.com, and that's Colombian Exchange with an X. All right. We also have White Rabbit Psychedelics, where you can get premium psychedelics for affordable prices. The thing about White Rabbit Psychedelics is that we are not a business. We are a community, and there are things that are of this earth that are organic in nature, and most people and some people don't have access to it. They don't have the knowledge to it. What White Rabbit Psychedelics does is provide access to sacred medicines, sacred plant medicines for people who do not have access to them. So if you're interested, take a look at the links in the description and holler at your boy. One of the first things that I want to say, if you're watching this video and you're willing to take the time to understand and learn about the spirit of the age, you're also willing to take notes. The reason that I say that is that this could be possibly a long video, and generally each verse that I go through, each thing that I talk about, you can hold that within your conscious space. And then when we go to the next thing, you can hold more information. Now, throughout this conversation, if you are listening, it's very important that you take notes so that each section of conversation that we have, you will then have a reference to it. Now, these things, you don't hold them in your hand, right? You got to continuously work with these things. I've actually been studying this subject matter since 2016. It's 2022. That's 6 years of study, and I really feel like I'm going to probably be studying this for about the next however long. So, yeah, take notes if you are interested in retaining some of this knowledge, because the tough thing about information is that if you do not take notes, unless you have a photographic memory, which a small percentage of the population actually has, then you will have to take notes, and you will actually have to refer to your notes in the future so you can actually see just how psychic you are. When you're doing spiritual processes such as rituals, such as spells, it's very important to have a magical diary, okay? Because if you're just doing things willy-nilly and maybe you do manifest stuff, maybe you don't manifest things, there is no way of you keeping track. So hopefully you have multiple and various of notebooks keeping track of your magical process. If you don't, you're in the land of make-believe. You're in the land of fantasy. There are a lot of people who actually view spirituality based upon how much you spend with a spiritual person. And the reality of spirituality is that you can spend $1 million with a spiritual person. If you don't realize your soul, you're wasting your time. We realize our soul through taking notes, automatic writing, meditation, things of that nature. Very personal stuff, right? This is, as much as I'm talking, I hope that at the end of the video, you go into yourself. There are times of communication and communal living, but when you talk about realizing your soul, that is a very personal and secluded and separated thing. So hopefully you guys are taking notes to get in tune with yourself. All right, so let's get into the conversation because we do have a lot of slides to get to. What we are going to be covering is, thank you for the Cash App, Kittrick. I really do appreciate that. You know, none of this stuff is it pays me nothing to do this, to share this information with you. And there's 50 million YouTube channels on the internet. I feel that I give the most vital information on the internet. Now, one would say, well, if you feel like you give the most vital information, why aren't you the most popular YouTube channel? Well, I have no control over that. I only have control over me and the work that I do. And I am bringing forth information that you won't hear anywhere on the planet. Okay? What we're talking about is revelations. And when we talk about revelations, we're talking about coded language. Okay? Many people will reference revelation. Many people won't understand what revelation is talking about. And a person like me, I'm continuously on the path, right? I'm continuously doing the work. This is my study for which I'm bringing forward to you. So throughout my spiritual development, I'm giving you codes and keys. I don't care if you spend $1 with me, okay? But I do appreciate the Cash Apps, but trust and believe. I'm here as a bear witness to when you realize your soul, miracles can happen. And the reality is that if you do pour into me, it's not going to do shit for you. If you pour into yourself, if you have the realizations of the soul, and you open up these keys and these codes and you understand sacred information that was usually blocked out for people, then you're able to really get into a sense of paradise, a really sense of joy. But if people are just regurgitating the information that I've already put out, maybe a person can read my information, have a larger audience, and just regurgitate everything that I say word for word to their larger audience. It might sound fucked up, but that's how the game is going. And 10 times out of 10, y'all will hear the information from me and then hear the information from the regurgitation. So y'all ain't no better than the actual person, because the reality is at some point, y'all got to stand up for me. Maybe y'all never do that. Well, maybe you shouldn't talk about this unless you deal with the mystic, because he's the first person that brought it to the surface. Because when I've been talking about chakras and astrology and things of that nature since 2016, and most of y'all was hitting y'all head up against the wall. So when I talk about sidereal astrology, and I say, you got to study sidereal astrology. If you don't study sidereal astrology, you're dealing with an illusionary science. It's like having a key. And one key opens the door, but the other key is just the key. Right? You say, for instance, you got keys on your ring, right? You got keys on your ring right now. It's only one key that's going to open up your door. That's sidereal astrology. Just because it looks like a key, Western astrology, it don't matter how it look. It don't matter how many people say, I got a key, y'all. Everybody take a look at my key. It doesn't matter what the key looks like. If it does not open you up to your soul, you're messed up. If you do not study your sidereal placements, you are messed up. It's not going to open your door. So when spiritual people say new moon in Libra, they're not opening the door. They got a key. It looks like a key. It might seem as though, you ever have a key where it looked like the key to your front door and you can even stick it in? But when you try to turn it, it don't turn. This is Western astrology. So in reference to keys and codes, we are going to deal with the number 7. Okay? In Revelation, you will hear them say 7 churches. You will hear them say 7 letters. You will hear them say 7 spirits. You will hear them say 7 golden lampstands. You will hear them say 7 stars, 7 seals, 7 horns, 7 eyes, 7 angels, 7 trumpets, 7 thunders, 7,000 people, 7 heads, 7 crowns, 7 plagues, 7 golden balls, 7 golden balls and 7 golden bowls, 7 hills, 7 kings, the last 7 visions. We're talking about the 7 chakras. Okay? Don't ever get it confused about what the fuck you need to be doing out here. Because if you do not unlock your chakras in a way to which you understand it, because a lot of people will say, I don't really get into the chakras because I don't think that the chakras is real. But they have a goddamn adrenal gland. Okay? Do y'all understand this? They have a thymus gland. They have what is the throat? That they have a thyroid, a pineal gland. Okay? This is what we're talking about. The Bible goes into this ad nauseum throughout Revelations. When you see 7 of anything in the Revelations, please believe that they're talking about the chakras. Okay, so let's get into the science of the 7 seals, right? The science of the 7 seals. What happened to my camera? There we go. All right. Then disappeared on y'all doing magic tricks. So when we understand that the 7 seals are our 7 major endocrine glands, because when we are at a particular disposition of illusion brings about fear, brings about confusion, brings about ignorance. What is happening at the glandular level? What is happening at the glandular level is that you're producing the hormones that are going against how you actually feel about the actual truth. And the reality is, if you do not open up the doors to yourself and you imagine that it is your job. So many times spiritual people talk to me about their jobs, their relationships, their children. Let me tell you right now, I don't give a fuck about none of that. I'll listen because I'm a compassionate person, but if a spiritual person is talking to me, I want to hear about how they've opened up the seals within themselves. I want to hear about the soul realization within themselves, the abundant life. Because the reality of an abundant life is that you have a lot to offer when you're talking about your job, when you're talking about your relationship, when you're talking about your kids. You also telling me about your slavery. I got a wife, I got a kid, I got all of the shit that you're talking about, but I don't prioritize it over my soul's work, over my soul's mission. Because a person might say, well, you're not the best father. I know I'm not the best father. I never even attempted to be the best father. That wasn't never a part of my goal. Because the moment that y'all see, if the moment y'all see any of my kids at the truck stop, y'all gonna judge me about it. And I did all of the work that I possibly could on my kids. And now they at the truck stop. Nothing that you do on the external world matters in reference to soul realization. I could be a bum on the streets, and I would still be more spiritual than any of the niggas that you would ever bring up in front of me. None of these niggas would ever talk to me. You dig? Not talk to me in truth. Because I come with the truth. I come with the understanding. I come with the inner and overstanding of why you shouldn't talk about that shit or why you should talk about this. Because the reality of the soul is the soul. And the soul is not based upon any man-made structure. And when I talk about man-made structure, let's be clear. We are talking about these spiritual egomaniacs that get in front of y'all and ramble and rumble and then sell y'all stuff. And never once are they opening and cracking codes. The only coding that they trying to say is what is in your wallet. Like, if you get to the root of it, if you get to the core of it, what is this person doing in front of you? Wasting your fucking time. So when you get to the core and the crux of the message that I'm bringing forth in these present days and times, I'm letting you know that if you do not get into your chakra work and understand how it connects to your glands, how it connects to your moods, how it connects to your anxiety, because as much as y'all listen to people, y'all get the fear understanding. So a lot of times spiritual people will say shit such as, you know, it's a Mercury retrograde. I know you feeling bad. One's in the chat if y'all heard that before. One's in the chat if you heard, it's a Mercury retrograde, so I know you feeling bad. Is that the common conversation? One, or two, I'm fucking tripping. And let me drink some of this tea. Because I really need some participation. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Because as soon as this live is over, I'm deleting it. And I'm going to re-upload it, edit it. But at the end of the day, I can't just sit here and talk to myself. One's in the chat if you heard from conscious niggas, spiritual people, that you are feeling bad because of Mercury retrograde. Okay? And what I'm saying is these spiritual people never counted how many random dicks you've been having in the month of September. How much random pussy you be getting in the month of September. Maybe that's why you feeling bad. Maybe it has nothing to do with Mercury retrograde. I'm going to go as far as to say Mercury retrograde has been happening your motherfucking whole life, and only when you became spiritual have it become a thing. How about it means nothing at all? And I'm an astrologer. It's literally the most meaningless aspect in all of astrology. It's as much as saying the wind is blowing. It happens Mercury retrograde 3 times a year. You mean to tell me that's just 3 ways that conscious niggas play on your anxiety? One's in the chat if that makes sense. They not doing shit for you. Besides trying to play into your anxiety and exacerbate it. And then when you try to figure out a solution, you have to buy into their bullshit. So most people have this book, so I'm not even going to act like, and when I say most people have this book, Amazon, Columbian Exchange, I've sold a lot of these books. I sell this book every day. A lot of people have this book. People that y'all don't even know have this book. Like a lot of let's just say colonizers have this book. Because the reality of all human beings, and I'm telling you, I can sit in front of the screen every single day and say, buy this goddamn book. Because you are the book. And as much as I can stand in front of here and say, follow me, do this, do that. No. As much as you follow a person, as much as you put a person on a pedestal, any person, it doesn't matter. We are in a new time, in a new age. And the only thing that a person is, that you can know that a person is true, is the person said, I've meditated and realized my soul, and my soul has guided me and led me and directed me to this particular situation. And as we get into the different types of sciences and different types of verses that we'll be talking about today, I'm just going to exacerbate and illuminate that point, because you are your biggest hang-up. The reason that I know spiritual people only exacerbate your anxiety because nobody has ever been happy and requested a reading. Unless you a Patreon subscriber and you get your monthly moon readings, then other than that, only time you reach out to a reading is when you feeling a certain type of way. When you done lost your job, you don't know about your boyfriend, your reality is a little sketchy. That's when something bad happened to a person. What's the first thing they say? Oh God, please help me. So it's very important to understand that everyday understanding of your moods and your energies, regardless of what you taking, what you not taking, the most vital, important part is connecting to your hormones. And we are not talking about when your sister is in the other room with her boyfriend and she moaning. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the miniature secretions that happen in reflection of, are you in tune with your testosterone for the fellas? Are you in tune with your estrogen for the ladies? And we can get into many different sciences, how estrogen, the production of estrogen allows for the vagina to get a little bit more wetter than usual. The production of testosterone let the pineal gland get a little bit more testosterone, get the pineal gland a little bit more harder than usual. And these are natural occurrences. Now we can lean into these natural occurrences. We can work with these natural occurrences. We can build these natural occurrences. And none of this is dealing with the external world. These are all dealing with your emotional reactions and how you deal with your emotional reactions. So today, let's deal with the source. We're going to be reading from the Revelation of St. John, the path to soul initiation. Now, your whole life, your soul has been trying to initiate you. But you keep following these weird ass spiritual conscious niggas and religious niggas and hotep niggas. And oh, let's not forget the retreat niggas, the worst brand of spirituality in the world. It's nothing that you can do with these niggas that is going to elevate you. I don't care if you go to the rainforest and you have a shaman with ayahuasca, mushrooms, DMT, LSD. Unless you're trying to talk about the times that you was with your goddamn baby daddy, you're not trying to talk about, I'm talking about when you was at your call center job. This is when your soul was trying to initiate you. Not when you did the thing that the spiritual person is already doing to take all of your fucking money. I'm talking about your regular life. The time that you had the time you was thinking about smacking your mama. Okay? The time you was thinking about stealing from your mama because she gave her your debit card. See, these are the most spiritual things, the things that's happening for you every day. How you are with your kids. How you are with yourself. These are the times that your soul is initiating you. If it's like, well, I'm the hood mystic and all of that. See, none of this makes me spiritual. None of the things that I'm doing now make me spiritual. The things that make me spiritual is the time before which brought me into spirituality and how much I can remember that shit. I'm talking about being ignorant of the soul, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about being in darkness. I'm talking about living a human existence for the sake of human experience. And walking up and down the street, living a life separated from Christ consciousness. Trust me, I was on the bus. I was dusty. I was rusty. I was crusty. I ain't have $20 in my bank account. I ain't have nothing of sorts of anything. And the reason why is because I was disconnected from my soul. I was not tuning in and tapping into my soul. I remember that person for a large percentage of my life. Now I can tell you exactly the person who tuned into his soul and what comes out of that soul and how that person lives and how much money he has, in a complete different reality from a person that is observant to his soul versus a person who is disconnected from his soul. So what I always like to say as a precursor, your soul knows you want shit. It knows you want money. It knows you want hoes. It knows you want a mansion. It knows all of the shit that you want. So the reality of what you should focus on is you should never focus on the shit that you want, because your soul already knows it. You should really get into the science of realizing the soul to be led and guided to get the things that you already know you wanted. How can I explain that? I can explain that easily. You put in the input into your GPS because you don't know how to get there. You don't know how to get to the direction for which you put in the GPS in. Shit, I don't even know how to get home from work, and I've been going home from work every damn day. I still got to put the GPS in because I get caught up in the music, smoking a blunt, and ride right past my house. Like, damn it, let me put this GPS on so I can get my ass home. And make it so bad, it's a straight shot from work to home. Like, I drive straight. It's straight down 9 Mile. Take a right. I need a GPS for that shit. So, long story short, I don't know where I'm going. I know where I want to go. Whether I need to take a left here or a right here. And the cool thing about Google Maps is it'll let you know, hey, it's traffic. So say, for instance, I've been taking this trip. The whole time, I still put it in GPS because the GPS would be like, it's traffic on 39. So take the lodge. Take the lodge this time. So even though I know the directions, I don't know the circumstances for which is in front of me. So sometimes your soul will say, don't fuck with that nigga for no reason. Even though that been your best friend for 10 years. Even though that been your husband, or even though that been your wife. Even though that's your kid. I know y'all don't hear me today, but sometimes your soul will tell you things that you don't actually need a rhyme or reason for. This is why it ain't about being rich or successful, because sometimes your soul will save you from success. What I'm talking about is a $5,000 house payment. Y'all ever had a $5,000 house payment with mortgage, insurance, car note? You ever had a severe overhead that you had to make a certain amount of money just to even take some at home? So now y'all know why these spiritual people be hustling all the time. Because I'm telling you, the overhead is intense. It's not prosperity. It's not abundance. It's living check to check. The same way y'all living check to check, these spiritual niggas is living check to check. They got payment plans and everything for y'all asses. Because the reality of soul initiation is that it's not, what I'm trying to say is that it's a clear fuck up and it's a clear truth. It's when you try to exacerbate the two or try to mix it up and say, well, I kind of do a little bit of both. I kind of do a little bit of both. No. You either follow your soul. I mean, these are the times of revelation, I'm telling you. Because whether it's Beyonce, whether it's the new hot spiritual person that got all the views and got all the titties out, twerking for spirituality, for views and things, whatever idol you niggas worship pales in comparison to following your soul. So it can never be a back and forth. And 10 times out of 10, you put your mama and daddy as an idol worshiper. You worshiping your mama and daddy and how they feel and how they went about life. And if you do exactly what your mom and dad tell you to do, you're probably going to end up exactly like they ended up. So it's very important to individuate yourself from your family and friends. So let's get into the science. Like I said, we are going to do verses 10 through 20. And then following, we'll finish the chapter because it's 30 verses in the chapter. And I was going to do all 20 today. But I'm like, no, I ain't going to beat y'all over the head like this. then trust me, this conversation ain't for everybody. This conversation is for people who want to rise above the spirit of the age, because you can't serve two masters. Y'all either going to serve your soul, or y'all either going to be trying to deal with the world and how the world is given to you in a ways that is limited. And then the world have its servants. The world have its demons. And so if you don't understand that mundane reality, Western reality is a world of demons, and you will easily get sucked up and ate up by that energy. So fear none of the emotions that cause you to suffer. By that, I mean observe them with detachment. As you can see, illusion may cause you to feel imprisoned by such an emotion, so that you are tempted to resist or suppress it. As you can see, illusion may cause you to feel imprisoned by such an emotion, such as fear, that you don't want to talk about your suffering. You want to resist your suffering by going to get the best thing ever, trying to get the man, trying to get the money, trying to get the job. Because you are chasing something, you're also resisting your suffering, and when you get it, you're also suppressing it. And you will feel afflicted for as long as that emotion lasts. If you can observe that emotion with detachment, because initially, if you don't have what you want, you grown as hell, but you feel a certain type of way for not keeping up with the Joneses. You feel a certain type of way because you're not rich or successful or got the things that people on the external have that you want. And when you really, really feel a certain type of way because you really don't have what other people have, that's a real emotion. Now, if you don't never observe that emotion, which most people don't, they feel it. They live in it. They're existing in whatever emotion that they have. So it's very important to detach and observe. Detach and observe all emotions. See, this is what adults do. And this is the work more than anything. This is the shadow work more than anything. Because when you are pissed off, what's going to happen is that you're going to be pissed off for as long as you're pissed off, and maybe you'll sleep and wake up and no longer be pissed off, but the emotion lasts for as long as it can last. We are trying to move you into the science of doing shadow work so you can observe that emotion through journaling. That's the best way. The second way is through having a conversation, but usually conversations go into air. So the best way to observe an emotion is to journal what you are feeling. I am mad. Why are you mad? Because that bitch is doing better than me. I'm mad because I don't have enough. I am mad because whatever reason. If you can observe that emotion with detachment until it ends, it will give you insight via your crown chakra that brings you freedom. There is not an emotion that you will feel that is super real. There is no super real emotion. It's very important that you begin to look at the external world as the external world and the internal world as the internal world. And as you create distance from certain aspects that you've been thinking about, you can actually get into a point where the soul will actualize within you. Look at person A. I am a bad bitch. I am a ugly bitch. I am a fat bitch. I am a dirty bitch. I am a bitch. You are a soul. All of the women that's twerking, all of the men that's tricking, they are saying, I am a pimp. I am a master. I am a this. I am a that. And they are not none of that. They can't never even conceive of who they are because they're deep in their illusion from not creating the observation and detachment from thoughts. You are nothing until you realize that you are the soul. You need to be nothing for a little while because you're too emotionally wound up in who you are not. Seeing the world from thoughts versus observing thoughts from a distance. Now look at person B. I can recognize that I am a bad bitch, but I also am nothing. I look at who I am as the sun. In ancient Egypt, I obviously had to exist because the sun existed, but there is no reference or record of the sun existing in ancient Egypt. We can only assume you will live and you will die. The thing that matters is how you felt in between now and then. The point of life is for you to realize your soul, but most people never get there because they're too concerned of who they are, when they are nothing. You are nothing because you are observing and detaching from all thoughts, not some thoughts. Well, I can't release the thought of me being a bad bitch hood. I'ma die being a bad bitch hood. That's not a thought that I can get. That's not the thought that I can get rid of. In contrast, person B has some distance from this thought. He can notice this thought, but can also see the sun setting and the flowers by his side. And a whole host of other things that you could observe that don't have shit to do with your inner light. Okay? So, first of all, you're dealing with illusion, which in the Bible is devil and Satan interchangeably. Body equals feelings, your state of mind, and your focus. So what are you focusing on, which will contribute to your state of mind, which will contribute to your feelings, which will contribute to your body. But then you have to reverse it once more because you can't care about shit. My biggest regret is doing all of this work and putting everything else before my body. Now, before I do a video, the rule now is that if I don't go to the gym, I can't do a video. So whatever I'm doing is like I put this shit before my body, and that's a mistake. So body, which contributes to positive feelings, which contributes to a positive state of mind, which allows you to focus. It's easier for me to do the work that I have to do when I know that I put it all in the gym. I did my cardio, I did my weight training, I improved over last week. I feel good about that. My state of mind is in the space of, okay, you're doing what you're supposed to do. Now my focus is this video. I very well could have woke up and trust me, the devil and Satan is real. The devil and Satan is real. Illusion is real. I had to fight with my mind to even get into the gym. Hood, you really want to do this video? You really want to do, you got a lot to say. The gym gonna always be there. Start a new regimen on Monday. These is all the thoughts that I'm having. You know, it'd be some dusty ass. You know, the gym is always crowded. Damn, I forgot my gloves at home. And I like to do my pull-ups, and I'll be wearing my gloves for my pull-ups. See, left your gloves at home. That's another sign you don't need to go to the gym. Guess what? I had to go to the gym and do my pull-ups with no gloves. And for years and years and years, I would never fight that temptation. Just allowing it to win. Okay? So when you go against your natural reactions, you can actually say you're fighting along in the spiritual war. But it's hard to fight against your natural reaction when you are dealing with an observation of yourself that isn't true. Because maybe I was person A when I said, you know, I'm a fat bitch, right? So if I imagine myself being a fat bitch, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do fat bitch shit. I'm going to not go to the gym. But once I begin to detach and deal with my essence and deal with my soul, it's like, it's hard. Because I know it's easy to sit back and eat bonbons and beignets and things of that nature. And it's harder to curve and carve and get rid of that shit. So if you're ever on the spot, if you're ever on a space to change, best believe it's going to take some fight. Not going to be easy. Let's continue. Verse 11. Through inner listening, you can hear my instructions about transforming your chakras. When you have completed this process of inner transformation, you will no longer suffer from the second death, which is progressive elimination of selfishness. Sometimes y'all might not understand what this verse is talking about, especially when you talk about second death. In the Bible, Jesus was reborn. In our spiritual awakening, we are reborn. We are reborn into the realization of your soul in this world, which is a wilderness. Why is it a wilderness? Because most of the people you come in contact are sleeping on the reality of their soul. And then when it comes to the people who knew you, right, and the people that are still dead, most spiritual people are not going to sacrifice their relationships for their soul. They're going to not follow the Bible when it says, let the dead lie with the dead. No, they're going to lay with the dead. But they're going to watch all of the spiritual videos. They're going to be in the spiritual community. But at the same time, my uncle needed to do this, and my mama needed to do that, and this person needed to do that. Right? And trust me, you deal with these dead people, family and friends, whatever, they're going to keep you on the loop. Only going to call you when there's bad things happening. Don't even call you. Don't even care about you, but pull on your negative emotional spring. If you have any good to say, they're going to hate on you. They not ever going to support nothing that you have. Trust me, my Spotify, it started at order 001. Okay? Shopify, rather. Order 001. We at order 3,000 and something. I got two cousins maybe, that done bought something from that. So 2 out of 3,000 orders. So 2,998 of my supporters came from niggas that I never even knew before. Ain't that amazing? Ain't your soul good? Your soul is amazing. Because I was a nigga walking up and down Broad Street, going from temp service to temp service when I wasn't connected to my soul. This is why I talk the way that I talk, because I know what it's like to be ignorant of the soul. I know the fucking pain. And I also know what it is to rebirth into the realization of the soul. And I'm not ever trying to be friends with people who don't try to self-realize or self-actualize. It's not a human being. I see it in every person. And usually the enemy will come to you through your mama. The enemy will come to you through your wife. The enemy will come to you through your children. Because these people can choose not to realize their soul, and there's nothing that your spiritual ass can do about it. And this is the thing that bothers you the most. Through inner listening, you can hear my instructions about transforming your chakras. When you have completed this process of inner transformation, you will no longer suffer from the second death. You will no longer suffer from your parents not being shit. You will no longer suffer from your kids not being shit. You will no longer suffer from your husband and wife not being shit, because all of those sufferings is a result of your ego. Nothing that you can do that is so spiritual that's going to bleed into your family and friends. Nothing. You are here for one purpose only, but it's through inner listening, not through listening to them badass kids. And kids that's going to only use you for Christmas presents anyway. And then we might get confused with the elimination of selfishness. But see, selfishness, if y'all ever wanted to be seriously about selfishness, we would then have to talk about love. Because once again, we're going from one extreme to the next. Because this is the game that y'all choose to play anyways, right? This is the game that y'all choose to play. I'm single by choice in your 30s or after you done been ran through. Now you single to recalibrate and to restore yourself. That's not how it works. Because now you started off with spiritual love. Actually, when you was getting ran through, you was a fucking a pinnacle in an embodiment of divine spiritual love. When you was the neighborhood hoe. When you was running through all of the girls, yes, you was in your most godliness structure. Now you trying to move into monogamy. Now you into the space of the illusion. Now you want one person to love you and you done love the whole damn block. Don't really work like that. But of course, it'll be a spiritual person that's going to lie to you. It'll be a dating coach ready to lie to you. But in order for them to lie to you, you need to give them all of your money. When I say love is much more intrinsic and much more powerful than just simply making a nigga kiss your ass, right? It's much deeper than that. With regard, verse 12 goes in to say, with regard to the spiritual love, because why? Why would it say that? Because is the Bible is a level upon a level upon a level upon a level. Each thing builds into another theme, so it's very important to take notes. Because if you don't take notes, you'll forget which level you're at, and you'll just be trying to swing for this shit all willy-nilly. So let's go to the levels. Through inner listening of the soul, you can hear the instructions of the soul about transforming your chakras and glands that are producing adrenaline, cortisol, things of that nature that keep you in the cycle or the loop. So in order to get out the loop, you got to listen to your soul, and your soul is going to tell you what to do, not your psychic, not your astrologer, not your world-renowned spiritual person, not the person that's teaching your spiritual course. Through inner listening, okay? When you have completed this process of inner transformation, you will no longer suffer from the second death. So you're not suffering from the fact that your family and friends don't support you. Because 2,998 people supporting me tells me without a shadow of a doubt that I don't need them niggas to support me. I never needed them. I wasted time wanting them to support me. That's my bad. Okay, so no longer suffering from the second death, which is a philosophical death, an individuation death that you're going to deal with your soul and not people's judgment of you. Because a person can call you a bad husband. A person can call you a bad dad. A person can call you all of these particular things that you're probably not. Or you are to them. And that's okay. But what the goal is to no longer suffer the philosophical death, so you can come into the realization of spiritual awakening, which is the progressive elimination of selfishness, which opens you up to what? What's the next step? Spiritual love. Spiritual love comes from, so we're dealing with chakras, going back to this, solar plexus, which will lead to your heart chakra. With regard to the spiritual love of your heart chakra, implied the... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm skip... Or am I? Yes, no. Oh, I'm trying to get... Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm right. With regard to the spiritual love of your heart chakra, apply these instructions because they come from the one who transmits intuitions that discriminate between truth and illusion. So... the spiritual love is an unconditional love that comes from your heart chakra that none of you hoes know nothing about. None of you niggas know nothing about. Okay? Because this comes from the soul. This comes from not saying, I need a girl like this. Right? I need a girl that's going to suck my toes. I need a man that's going to do this and do that and do this and do that. And here y'all are, spiritual people. Trying to figure out which man is going to treat you right. Trying to figure out which woman is going to treat you right. With regard to spiritual love, let's talk about what spiritual love is. Being of the same mind, maintaining the same love, united in the same purpose, united in the same spirit. So this is how it works. And y'all not going to understand this even if I say it a million times, because I probably done said it a million times before. When you do the realization of the soul work, the first thing that your soul is going to tell you is where your goddamn partner is. It's going to lead you and guide you to love, to spiritual love. Because your ego is not going to do it. Your comparative brain, your conscious mind, what your coach done said, what your love doctor done said, none of that shit is going to help you. So you're going to pay the money till you realize it's not going to work, and then you're going to go back into your depression. Hopefully, you can be honest. You can tune into your soul. Stop lying. Stop being hold out. Because usually when you hold out, like society tell you to be hold out, you using your vagina to vet people. And your vagina don't vet people. You just giving niggas free pussy. When it boils down to it, yes, that was your boyfriend. Yes, y'all live together, but y'all ain't together now. What did that result to? You was his hoe and you gave him free pussy. So it's different when you following your soul and you find, and not even find a man, you are magically attracted to the person that's united. See, the Bible talks about being equally yoked. The Bible talks about really dealing with your soul to bring about that alignment. And trust me, I knew my wife was my wife when I first met her. It wasn't ever even a thought. Because I was already doing the work. I had already set the intentions to find my wife, to find that person. I was doing on my altar was love work. And not even on some, I'm going to find a specific girl and I had a picture of the girl that I wanted. I just was like, whatever, you know? My situation brought about an intention that brought about a manifestation when I found my wife. I wasn't on YouTube or asking nobody or nothing. I just followed my intuition, bought the candle that resonated with me, did the work, and I don't know. You know how girls don't ever send you messages? My wife sent me the message. Hey, what's up with you? That was a green flag number one. And then another deeper thing is that she reminded me of my mom. Like, it just seemed as though like I was just in that same energy. And that could be wrong. That could be crazy to a lot of people. Y'all could have had some fucked up moms and go for the opposite of it. But I think it's very natural for a person to see in their partner what they see in their parental. I think it's something very universal and very spiritual. And I also would say that so let's deal with the truth before we go any further. The Revelation of St. John is the title of the book that we're working through, okay? So I've been working through this material since 2016, very intently, very thoroughly. Now me and my wife had a son, never putting two and two together, but we named our son John. Don't even know why we named our son John. It's a multitude of reasons why we can name our son John. But one of the ancestral reasons that we named our son John is because we both have great grandfathers that are named not first and last name the same, not just first name the same, because Walker is my great grandmother's maiden name. It's also my wife's last name. And our great grandfather is named John Walker. 3 generations removed. 2 separate people, and although it's a common name, but that would be one coincidence, right? The other coincidence is that we named our son John. And I didn't even know I had this ancestor to my cousin sent me our like our lineage, our family tree. And our son, John, was already like 1 or 2 years old by this time. So when I say that, when I met my wife, I also met the person that the ancestors had aligned for me the whole entire time. And there was a bunch of hood rats and a bunch of type of women before her that was my ego doing all of the work. And I understand that that was illusionary and complete waste of time when I met my wife. It's easy for me to pour into my wife. It's easy to trust my wife because we are of the same spirit. But I knew of that spirit, and my goal in the relationship is not for my wife to love me, because loving me is going to be hazardous to our relationship. The thing that my wife must do is love her soul. Because when she loves her soul, then she will either love me or be directed to the person that she's supposed to love. One thing about love is that you don't love a person because they with you and they doing things for you. You don't necessarily know if you love them or not. You know you love somebody when they leave you and you still hold that resonance of love. You love somebody when you want them to be happy. And in this age, in this day and time, you're not in a relationship with a person that wants you to be happy. You in a relationship with a person that is only with you because you're giving him free pussy. You understand that? The moment you tell your husband, hey, I think I want to fuck this person down the street, he's no longer your husband. But you might actually want to fuck somebody across the street. This is science. You can repress it and suppress it, but when you express spiritual love, which overcomes the belief of separation that supports illusion. See, illusion's main belief is that you are separated. And this is a spell that 99% of the human population holds because it's their ego, it's their I am, it's who they are, and the realization, the deepest realization is that we are all the same. Excuse me. If you can realize this, you gotta give it a second, right? In which you express by holding fast, meaning that you gotta give it a second for it to materialize in everything within reference to your heart chakra. Because as you had in the previous verse, it was saying that these next messages is going to be transforming your chakras in reference to your heart chakra. Okay? So one of the ways of transforming your heart chakra is to not be separated. If you can actually get this through your mind. Everybody that I see is a reflection of me. You express it by holding fast because it's not going to be like instantly getting it. You might even have to get it in your worst type of scenarios, right? When it's really happening, you might have to, like, it's by really getting on your nerves, you might have to really put the work in to say, what a part of me, of this person, am I recognizing that is getting on my nerves so I can start to change these aspects within me? Which you express by holding fast to my nature and perceiving the presence of God within other people. But the thing about perceiving the presence of God within other people, if you don't perceive the presence of God within yourself, it don't matter what you pay attention to. It don't matter what type of girls is shaking their ass. It don't matter who your husband is. It don't matter where you go on trips. Because you could accomplish all of the things that spirit has for you, but you will still look at other people as if they're beneath you. You will look at people as if they're above you, but you won't look at them correctly. Looking at people correctly is perceiving the presence of God within other people. Hard to get there if you don't perceive it within yourself. You have made this effort when your self-image, which is a faithful witness of how you perceive everyone else, felt separated from others because of false judgments that you held about them. So one of the maxims of shadow work and shadow projection is, when I look at a person, I must not look at his outer human appearance and love that. So when you look at these girls on Instagram with the BBLs and the fat asses, you are really doing yourself a disservice, because you are not doing shadow work. You are not in the space of soul awakening. What you are doing is looking at the human outer appearance and love that. I had a vision this morning in reference to the soul and the outer appearance, where we are all witches. We are all magicians, because there is no such thing as a body. The body is a psychic phenomena. It's almost as if when you play a video game, you can choose an avatar. Like your whole body is a reference of an avatar. It's a complete and illusionary experience. So just like if you're on Sims or you're on these types of RPG games and things of that nature, and you're choosing a person, y'all ever been like on a video game, and a person have a sexy ass avatar, and for some reason you meet them in real life, right? Because they avatar is so fucking sexy. Once you get them home or you meet them in person, they'll never look nothing like their avatar. So we can get that into the microcosm. Whatever your girlfriend look like, whatever your boyfriend look like, that is just a pure illusion. The body is a pure illusion. It's something that the soul has to do in order for it to move and to communicate, right? But since the soul created so if we were like to explain this in a clearer, more elucidated way, say for instance, we were extraterrestrials, we were aliens. And in our terrain, we didn't need a body. Like a body would disintegrate because it was so close to the sun. So we created a non-physical structure to exist in other planetary orbits. However, when we came to Earth, we could not exist in our non-physical being way. We had to literally create a human body that would be in its best condition, suited for the environment. So when you are born a spark. You were born a egg and a sperm. And you didn't grow as far as like a body. You grew from like the brain and your spinal cord. And your spinal cord protected your central nervous system, or the nerves that are actually you. So who we are is actually this alien that is like a sperm, but the sperm grows up and like all we are is like this brain and this spine. But in order for it to survive and function in this plane of existence, it creates a body to protect, because the brain and the spine is very vulnerable, is very sensitive. Okay? So who we are and what we create is in complete direct reference of how deeply we see ourselves in truth. And if you see yourself as the vessel, as the Nicki Minaj, as the Rihanna, as the Fenty makeup or sexy BBL person, then you don't even know who the fuck you are. Like, you have no clue or no consciousness of who you are. But when you deal with most people in this time, they only care about the outer human appearance and love that. So this is a spirit. And me personally, I must look through him and realize that in the midst of him, in the midst of her, God is, and that God is living his life or not living their life by sense of ignorance of the soul. In these days and times, very important. But you need to make some additional efforts because you have discordant thoughts. You have discord in that you've corrupted, or let me repeat that. But you need to make some additional efforts because you have discordant thoughts that corrupted your desires, which in turn led your personality astray through greed and lust of material things. Whenever you give power to something external, this is idolatry. And it doesn't ever really matter what it is. Whenever you look at something externally, you are separating the power of God, which comes from you are the source. And this is what must be seen and recognized before you put other people on the pedestal. Before you imagine that this person is so great and you're so weak and all of this, you must deal with the inner conviction and the truth that power does not exist in form. Any form, no matter how fat the ass is, no matter how juicy the titties is, no matter how big the dick is, no matter how strong the muscles are, power does not exist in form. Power exists in spirit. And spirit exists in how aware of you are within yourself. But you need to make some additional efforts because you have discordant thoughts that have corrupted your desires. As we stated earlier, the soul always knows what you want, when you want it, how is it going to come? But if you don't actually, sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit. Sometimes we imagine that, and trust me, a person never going to really recognize lust and greed. Person never going to really recognize it because it's a part of the spirit of the age. The part of the spirit of the age is to be lustful, is to be greedy. People always looking on how to make more money when the reality is you should probably learn how to manage the money that you got. You should learn to invest the money that you got. More money ain't going to help you if you can't manage the money that you already have. Lust retards the spiritual path. Lust retards your growth. And it's safe to say that a lot of men haven't got past the lust part. I remember part of me coming to this spiritual truth is that I spent a lot of time in the underworld because part of spiritual life is light and darkness. Spiritual life is not just light. The thing that educated me was dealing with women in sexual entertainment. So I would do a lot of managing of different accounts of different women and help them build their social profile up because I'm very tech savvy. So one of the main ways that I would help women build their notoriety was through Instagram. And since I had a few, all of my friends and followers, something if I have a phone and I start a new Instagram account, the people who already follow me is already going to know. But usually the girls wouldn't follow the girl. I would have girls on my profile and I would promote them. The only people that I see following these niggas would be the spiritual people, the spiritual niggas in particular. Every time a girl, they follow her and like all of her pictures and all types of wild shit. And me, it's shit, I'm making money with her. I'm not trying to have sex with her. I'm trying to do business and things like that. So I don't even understand. I understand it. That's why I'm doing it. But I'm I can already see that the darkness of a man's lust is why most men can't come in real spirituality. Because he can't even be honest with you, because he got to be, in order for a man to be honest with you, he got to be honest with his lust. So when you look in the news and you see all of these men that's getting busted for having sex with these women, of course they're not telling their wives, hey, I'm the coach for the Celtics. Hey, babe, I'm having sex with the travel agency booker for the team. So when you tell her, Nia Long, when you talk to her about, moving to Boston with me because you're going to be my future wife, you're going to be actually talking to the girl that I be sliding dick to on the regular. Nia Long going to look at him like, what the hell is you actually talking about? What do you mean? Right? Can't actually be truthful, but he's actually being lustful. So since he can't be truthful about his lust, he gets suspended for a whole year. Okay? So you gonna get away with it. You're gonna get away with it, but lust always gonna come back and bite you in the ass. So many people get child support cases and all types of wild shit just because they was lust. And for like me, it's not like I'm not a pimp and I'll never proclaim to be a pimp, but I understand how pimps think. I've been in that life. I understand how. So it's like this. If a woman have a capacity to love you fervently and it don't have nothing to, if it's like, it could be a whole slew of pimps. Like it could be more than one pimp, right? And the girl is going to act the same way with all of the different guys. Then get with other guys and act the same way with them, but like in a using way. As a man, you got to realize that you either going to be used or you going to be loved. And if you don't go through your darkness, you only setting yourself up to be used. A person can say whatever they want to say. Just don't be used by them. Because when you talk about spiritual love, you're talking about being of the same spirit, having the same mind. And men and women is not never experiencing that in these times. They getting either friend zoned, which is I want to experience all of the husband-like qualities with you, minus having sex with you. Or they getting in conditional relationships where if you pay 50% of the bills or 75% of the bills, or you don't cheat on me, or they have these sort of type rules. But when it comes to true actual love, it's actually from following the soul and how fervently you do it. So let's continue. You also make excuses for behaving selfish and hypocritical ways for which there is no valid justification. You ask people why they do what they do in these times, and they just don't know why. You ask people why they don't share, why they don't actually market their business, why they don't actually know nothing, and they just don't have no reason. The reason why is because it's a spirit. And if you don't recognize it's a spirit, you're not even going to be able to shake it. And the only thing that you can do when the spirit takes a hold of you is idol worship, which is scary. Thus, you need to make changes, appropriate changes, for otherwise you will feel inner conflict between your separative feelings and my intuitions, or the soul's intuitions that discriminate between truth and illusion. So you can either follow the world or you can follow the soul. When you follow the world, you will feel inner conflict between you and your separative feelings. Because in the world, somebody always going to be better than you, always going to be doing more than you. And in the reality, you got to actually deal with your reality. Like, you actually got to deal with yourself. You can compare yourself to other people all day. All day. And what that is inner conflict. You are not separated. So inner conflict leads to being broke, leads to being lonely. All of your negative feelings that you might experience is because you feel separate from source. But in the Bible, it also tells you, Psalms 82, verse 6, this is the divine origin of all human beings. You are gods. And all of you, not some of you, not the ugly ones, not the cute ones, not the fat ones, not the skinny ones, and all of you are children of the Most High. If you are children of the Most High, you are connected to all things that are true. But inner conflict between your separative feelings will be all of the block that you need moving forward. Let's read the Bible verse first. And let's read the psychological interpretation. Revelation verse 2, verse 17 reads as follows. Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who is victorious in hearing what the Spirit says to the churches, or the chakras, I will give some of them the hidden manna. I will also give to that person a white stone with a new name written on it, known only to the one who receives it. By being attentive to inner guidance, you will receive my instructions about your chakras. Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. When you have followed all of the instructions from the chakras, I will give you an interior heavenly joy. To the one who is victorious in listening to what the soul says to the chakras, your guidance, your direction, everything about what you should be doing, your soul already knows. Are you attentive to it? If you are attentive to your soul, you will have some of the hidden manna. Right? Hidden manna. So even the psychological interpretation refers to this as being hidden, meaning that Zachary Lansdowne don't even know what the hidden manna is. But guess who does know what the hidden manna is? I do. I will also give that person a white stone with a new name written on it. See, when I first, listen, I'm talking about soul initiation. So let me walk y'all through this process. January 1st, 2022, I did not know anything about psilocybin mushrooms. But I walked into the January 1st, 2022, working for a company that specialized in psilocybin mushrooms. And as much boundaries as they wanted to keep from me as far as the information on how to run a company, I burst through every single boundary. I figured out everything about that business, even though the owners of the company rathered me not. But sometimes when you need something and the only person you can count on is me, guess who the fuck you gonna call? Me. And the thing about me, I'm like, my middle name should have been Sponge. My middle name should have been Sponge because I suck up and soak up everything. So I'm like, okay, this seems pretty simple and easy. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to start my own psychedelic company. And the name that we chose was White Rabbit. One, we kept seeing rabbits in our neighborhood. Two, it was channeled through the deity and spiritual entity Nana Bozo, who is a white rabbit, shapeshifter, trickster, god figure in Native American mythology. 3, Hugh Hefner and Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory first gig came from Hugh Hefner. Hugh Hefner ran a magazine called Playboy, and the entity that ran that energy was the bunny, but that same bunny is Nana Bozo. Nana Bozo came to me and my wife specifically and said, I want to work with y'all and help y'all build the company. And we're like, okay, call it White Rabbit Psychedelics and don't worry about it. So when I read this verse, I read it differently from most motherfuckers. Cause I'm following the soul. If If I would have told y'all in 2021 that I'm going to be tapped into psilocybin and do all this shit, I would have been lying to y'all because I would have been capped the fuck out. I didn't know nothing about this shit. But when you follow your soul, and trust me, me and my wife have the same soul, because once again, I'm at the gym. My wife sent the lady an email like, hey, we had kind of reached out and we kind of set up something and you kind of flaked on us. And then she triggered something in the lady till the lady called me like, yeah, your wife had messaged me and yeah, come through right now. Come work right now. So I just got out the gym and started working. But the whole time I'm following my soul, and the whole time I'm like, you probably gonna work here for about 6 months. So I worked there for about like 6 months and then I quit. The thing about me is everybody that I was working with for that past 6 months, they like, shit, where you at? I'm like, I'm doing my own thing. I can't do, oh yeah, well I'd rather work with you, fam. And it's like, the company before me was unreliable, fucked up and all that. After I left, it eventually turned into that. Am I the savior? No. But I was just following my soul. And in following your soul, I have a new message with a new name written on it, known only to the one who receives it. Now, when you follow your soul, I guarantee you without a shadow of a doubt, your life is going to be filled with miracles. When you follow these fat booty bitches and these girls with fucking ring lights and false prophecies, your life's going to be fucked up. But if you like, let's read, man, because I'm not no fucking expert. I'm not no expert. I'm just a nigga who decided to follow his soul. So let's read. I'm gonna need to hire one of y'all to be my goddamn reader. Whoever want the job, DM me, email me. Because we gonna do a lot of conversations like this. So it'd be best if we have somebody that's like down to read everything that I put forward and I can shut the fuck up. Who's a good reader? Who was the person that the teacher called on for goddamn reading the stories? If you out there and you hear what I'm saying, whoever has ears, let them hear. One's in the chat. There are a great many people who would never consider the use of visionary plants to be a spiritual experience. These people believe that spiritual experiences must come directly from God and that the use of visionary plants goes against the teachings of the Bible. Contrary to this notion, the Bible never explicitly prohibits the use of visionary plants or potions. What you will find, however, is many curious references to a spiritual food sent down from heaven by God called manna. The Bible never tells us exactly what manna was and where it came from, but there are many Old Testament passages which describe its physical qualities and conditions associated with its appearance. The Bible's first reference to manna is in the book of Exodus, as the children of Israel were fleeing from Egypt and following Moses into the wilderness. After 6 weeks of wandering, they began complaining to Moses that they were tired and hungry. What happens next is extraordinary. Then said the Lord unto Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day. So the thing about mushrooms is you can't eat them all. If y'all understand that, one's in the chat. If y'all understand that, it's only the brown ones. You can't eat them all because some of them is poisonous. That I may prove them whether they will walk in my law or no. Let's read this again. Then said the Lord to Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you. Y'all don't hear me today. Y'all don't hear me today because y'all got a lot of bullshit in your brains. But the Lord already said that he was going to rain bread from heaven for you. It's already done happened. It's already in all 7 continents, ones in the chat. There are psychedelic mushrooms that grow from the fucking rain. God's come. God come on the earth and then brought forth a son. That son is Jesus Christ. So where a lot of people say Jesus never existed, They don't know what the fuck they talking about. I'm being specific. Most spiritual people, you will never hear them be specific. They'll talk about this, they'll talk about that. I'm talking about a spirit that if you don't understand what God is, you're going to be on the outside looking in, listening to these spiritual bitches and these spiritual niggas. But until you get into the science, and trust me, you can grow mushrooms in your fucking basement. You can grow mushrooms in your room. All you need to do is go to fuck on Google. One's on the chat. All you got to fucking do is do ones on Google and grow it and dehydrate it and eat it. Why? Because God already told us he will rain bread down from heaven for you. You don't even got to pick it from the forest. You can get on Google. Ain't that amazing? And when the dew that lay was going up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness, there lay a small round thing. Do y'all understand what I'm reading? As small as the hoarfrost on the ground. And when the children of Israel saw, they said one to another, it is manna. For they wist not what it was. And Moses said unto them, this is the bread which the Lord hath given you to eat. And so the author goes to read, and I'll concur, when I read this passage, I was struck by the fact that manna easily fits the description of psychedelic psilocybin mushroom. For one thing, magic mushrooms are small and round, and since they sprout so rapidly, they would seem to appear overnight, as if out the sky. Also, anyone harvesting them would immediately notice that they turned blue, were torn, and had no roots, giving more reason to believe that the mushrooms were of celestial origin. So the psilocybin is a dark blue substance. So when you talk about melanin and all of these particular things, which a fucking rabbit have, or a dog have melanin, a roach got melanin, what you're actually talking about is the psilocybin within the, see, in everything I'm talking about, you could do the research on you could do the research for your damn self. This is only, I'm talking about the research that exists in reference to the scientific experiments and then the personal experiments, because nigga, I be higher than a fucking giraffe on the moon, goddamn dunking over top of fucking Michael Jordan in the motherfucking high rise on top of the moon, fucking smoking some goddamn kush. That's how high I be. So don't even worry about where I'm getting my sources from, because I be in the understanding that God will rain bread from heaven for me, nigga. First off, note that manna does not just fall from heaven, but it is described as coming with the frost and dew during the wet seasons. These are precise weather conditions for mushrooms to thrive. And finally, manna is described as bread. You dig? So that's just this is just my little testimony. You dig? I can only be the person that I am. And then I can read your testimonies. I can hear your reviews on how this shit is helping y'all in a way that y'all been listening to the same spiritual niggas I've been listening to. Y'all been just following the soul the same way I've been following the soul. But it comes to a point that the synapses and what's happening internally, you are not getting the downloads because you are not tapped in. And as black people, you need to microdose. I'm not the only person, and you can get on, and I need y'all to understand this, and I need y'all to hear this, because fuck me. Act like I don't exist. Google some shit, okay? Google some shit. I know that you have used your thoughts to purify your motives, feelings, and perceptions. You are now carefully observing your thoughts, which is more arduous than earlier disciplines. Let's go back into time. Let me tell you, it's easy. She got a fat ass. He got a lot of money. he cute, he ugly, he fits, and all of this, because all of this is just easy to judge. It's easy to judge. It's harder to distance from a thought. It's harder to observe a thought. It's harder to observe an emotion in reference to something you absolutely believe. And so when you tell a person a negative emotional feeling, right, and then you're just doing things without dealing with the soul, and you look at life without dealing with the soul, you'll never get the transformation that you're actually seeking. Now, I know that you have used your thoughts to purify your motives, feelings, and perceptions, and you are now carefully observing your thoughts. Let's be clear. This is harder than anything you've ever experienced. Let's be so clear on that. Let's be so clear, because the Jezebel spirit is real. And not only do y'all tolerate the Jezebel spirit, a lot of y'all is trying to be Jezebel. A lot of y'all is trying to marry Jezebel. Probably not ready for the convo, but we gonna have it anyway. Nevertheless, I have this against you. Because you imagine that, okay, seems simple enough. Observe thoughts from a distance, right? Nevertheless, I have this against you. This is the soul talking to you. You tolerate that woman Jezebel who calls herself a prophet. Uh-oh. Not only does Jezebel, not only does Cardi B rap about having some wet ass pussy, Cardi B will read you some tarot cards. Cardi B will stand in front of an altar. Cardi B will talk to the president of the United States. Jezebel was a princess that married a king. The symbology of that is that, no, it's not the lower vibratory frequencies for which y'all got to worry about. It's these spiritual bitches, okay? Don't ever get it confused. Because it's one and the same. It's going to be the spiritual girl that says, oh, I don't twerk. And it's going to be the twerker that says, I ain't into that. They one and the same. Because the woman Jezebel calls herself a prophet. And by her teaching, she misleads my servants into sexual immorality and the eating of food sacrificed to idols. Anything reference to what I don't know what you should eat. Your soul gonna tell you exactly what to do. So if your soul tell you to eat fish, eat fish. If your soul tell you to eat meat, eat meat. Why? Because you know what people don't ever talk about is how these vegan diets kill people. These herbs that people take kill people because they soul didn't ever tell them. Y'all told them. Y'all didn't even know their blood type. I can't tell you to eat shit. I can't tell you to do nothing. What I say? I said, get on. Google is your friend. And when we talk about microdosing, we're talking about 250 milligrams. We're talking about not having a psychedelic experience. We're talking about not tripping out. That's what we're talking about. Now, who am I to judge? But I'm telling you what I'm talking about, though. Y'all trying to get high. Y'all trying to get into a spirit of, just feeling good all the damn time. When the reality is, it's an arduous, slow process. Nevertheless, I have this against you. You tolerate that woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophet, and by her teaching, she misleads my servants into sexual immorality and eating of the food sacrificed to idols. Psychologically, this means, nevertheless, I require that you make some changes in your thoughts. Because no matter how spiritual you have become, you still believe that sensual pleasure leads to happiness. And you allow this belief to corrupt and mislead your feelings. Sensual pleasure leads to you blacking out eyes and busting out windows and flattening out tires. That's what it leads to. It leads to child support. It leads to demonic children. It leads to you taking care of children by yourself. That's what it leads to. It don't ever lead to happiness. And if it do lead to happiness, the happiness is fleeting, so it can never really be happiness. But you still believe that sensual pleasure leads to happiness, and you allow this belief to corrupt and mislead your feelings, which creates more lust and greed for material things. The thing about money is if I make money, I'm going to give it to my wife, I'm going to give it to my kids. But if Jezebel make money, she going to spend it on her damn self. Is it a bad thing? No. But we don't do stuff for ourselves. We do things for other people. And we talking about the heart chakra right now. We talking about the heart chakra, and we talking about spiritual love. And spiritual love is not sensual pleasure. And some of y'all are trying to get both. But like we said earlier, the soul knows what you need. Might not know exactly what you want. So when you talk about this energy that's happening today, it's very much of identifying the age. The spirit of the age is Jezebel. Jezebel's meanings metaphysically intact, untouched, untouchable, unproductive, non-cohabitating, without husband, chaste, virgin, adulterous, base, unexalted, licentious. Yes, this is the spirit of the age. When you are a young man and you go out on dates, these are the type of women you're going to talk to. Unproductive, non-cohabitating. It's easier for her to be single because you're just another lick. You're just a munch. She wants you to eat her pussy. That's what a munch is. Eat her pussy and leave. Unproductive, non-cohabitating, without husband. This is a spirit. This is a spirit that you're going to counter. I don't care, and it don't matter her name or last name or where she come from. Because this is a spirit. It don't matter who the rapper is or the movie that you watch. It is a spirit. It is something that you will never change. And if you are in relations with this spirit, you gonna understand now why you are beating your head up against the wall. The metaphysics of Jezebel is the animal soul, unbridled passions of sense consciousness. When the union of the ruling identity in the intellect and the lustful desires of the body is complete, the whole man is involved in error. Let's read that again. When the union of the ruling identity in the intellect and the lustful desires of the body are one, the whole man is involved in error. This is a rearing, an altar for Baal in the house of Baal. Jezebel could also be called the ruling emotions on the physical plane of consciousness. She met a violent death, passionate appetites burn themselves out. So whenever you're in that lustful relationship where you got your big dick daddy and he's wearing it out and he's fucking you good and you coming all on his dick, passions and appetite burn themselves out. Whenever you got Mrs. Wet Pussy that you just love so much and she's giving you all of the sex in the world, passionate appetites burn themselves out. Jezebel could also be called the ruling emotions on the physical plane of consciousness. So if you don't create any distance between you and Jezebel, you will be a sufferer of the spirit of the age. And why do we suffer? Because our consciousness is like Jezebel's, which is simply the animal soul. But let's deal with this further. Anima. Anima is another word for the soul. We're going to look at the historical philosophical definition. Number 2. We're not in the Jungian psychology understanding of the anima. We're looking at anima as another word for spirit or soul, especially the irrational part of the soul. And trust me, if you cannot identify the difference between the irrational part of your spirit and the rational part of your spirit, you will be dealing with the irrational part of the soul. This is the anima. This is the animal spirit. This is the Jezebel spirit. This is the spirit of the age. False astrology, false healings, false teachings, false courses, false everything is irrational, because the only teaching is the reclamation of your soul and awaken to your soul, which is going to come from detaching and observing the emotions that you have, which is an arduous, difficult process. The easy way is to listen to somebody be irrational. So we have anima and we also have animus, which the definition would be temper, but that's like saying I have animosity. But really, in the Latin, the animus meant the rational soul, the mind, the life, the mental powers, the consciousness, the sensibility, courage, desire. Animus would be your psychic abilities. Okay? Your living being, soul, mind, disposition, passion, courage, anger, spirit, feeling. Your psychic abilities, if not directed properly, will generally lead you to more stress and more downfall than if you never were spiritual in your life. It does worse, because if your disposition is false, if you follow Jezebel and if you are dealing with your intellect and your lustful desires, the whole man is involved in error. So it's a simple way of dealing with this and recognizing your animalistic tendencies. Animalistic is just somebody who just operating off of just operating, just going through it, just rolling through life like a bowling ball. What makes a difference between a god and an animal is awakening to your soul. So as much as we find like anima and animal, only difference is one letter. And a lot of times what we think is spirit is really beast messages, confusing messages, false messages, fake cosmos, fake spirituality, fake chakras, fake healing. Because the only thing that is reference to anything cosmos, anything spiritual, anything chakras, anything healing, it happens between you and your soul. Y'all understand that? Nothing that nobody can tell you about your life until you start to deal with your soul. And following people, it's like when they just talking to talk. It's easy to talk. It's harder to put information together. It's hard to crack open codes and keys and do the excruciating work of what is the purpose of life? Why am I here? And since we are animals, and since you are an animal, what these spiritual people will do is dangle a carrot in front of your face. And I see this shit happening in real time. These motherfuckers got marketing plans on your ass. These people know exactly how to talk to you to get you to spend money. And the reality is y'all might need that and want that. But another reality is you could deal with your soul. See, a fake spiritualist and a fake person in general exists because you believe in Jezebel. You believe that it's a sensual pleasure that will lead you to happiness, and the spiritual person is going to lead you to that spiritual pleasure or that sensual pleasure. And I swear that the truth is that your soul might want you to be a professional cartwheeler. Your soul might want you to do black flips. Your soul might want you to do splits. Your soul might want you to join the circus. Your soul might want you to suck dick at a truck stop. Your soul might want you to do jumping jacks. Your soul might want you to drink cold Kool-Aid. The spiritual nigga can't help you, nor do a spiritual nigga care. Can't talk to everybody about everything. You can't talk to all cancers and Tauruses. That shit is make-believe. I can talk to everybody when I'm talking about a spirit and I'm talking about a truth. See, the reality of a spirit is everybody you meet going to be the same way. The reason why it's going to be the same way is because they absorb in the same spirit. And maybe you absorb in it too. Back to being in the adult entertainment world. When I was in that world, I was always attracting women who wanted to be put on in a certain type of way. Once I let that shit go, don't no hoes be texting me or DM. Like, hoes used to text me and, hey, hood. Or they ain't call me hood then, they called me David. That's a whole nother book. That's a whole nother story, okay? So, what leads to happiness? Your soul leads to happiness. It's an arduous process. Your soul has to guide you, lead you, provide you with personal wisdom. When you are dealing with spiritualists, fake spirituality, when you are dealing with reverends, pastors, oracles, whatever, psychologists, whatever, it's only going to lead you to spending more money with them. You are the food that's on these niggas' tables. If you wasn't supporting these niggas, they wouldn't have no reason to talk to you. So now, when you get into the science of you got to deal, I mean, we talked about a lot of things. Last week we talked about why am I not rich? And I hope that y'all see that video, because like money, like magic, like spirituality, you could wait for a miracle to happen overnight, or you could take the small, intricate moves that bring about self-realization. You could do the work every single day. You could do it, right? If you want to do it. But, people gonna be people. And of course, those who have ears, let them hear. And if you don't have ears, I really don't give a fuck. Because I'm not talking to you. So if you took offense to this, if you feel like I'm talking about you in a negative way, I am. Okay? I am. Now, there's one rule to this shit. Follow your soul. If your soul tell you whatever, then you should do it. But if you following the external, you're going to have trouble. You're going to have problems because the soul resonance and frequency is strong. And the reason why you're going to have negative experiences outside of your soul is it's like, why are you going the wrong direction? Why are you keep doing the wrong thing? So it's going to keep hitting you over the head. Okay? So that has been my presentation. We did verse 10 all the way through 20. I'm going to do some more research on 21 through 29. Come back with that video. And all of these videos, the Are You Fighting Demons? The Spirit of the Age. In the next video is going to be really dealing with your sacral chakra, because your sacral chakra is where all the demons lie. Your needs, wants, and desires and emotion is demonic in nature. When you can live a pure life, when you can live a true life, when you can awaken to your soul, you don't have to worry about these demons. You don't have to worry about these emotions. You don't got to worry about nothing ever happening bad to you because you are following the soul. And when things do happen bad to you, shit, I'm off track. I'm off course. I don't have shit for you. Your soul has everything for you. And before I get off this live, can I get some ones in the chat? If y'all can resonate with that. Leave this chat with some ones if you realize that Kyrie cannot help you. Your soul, however, can help you like shit. One's in the chat if y'all can recognize and understand that. And I'll see y'all on the flip side, man. Peace.
Sometimes a psychic is the perfect one to talk to when love is slipping away.
You know how people start talking funny when they're trying to hide something?
Oh, it's another girl, all right. Call now for a free reading.